Hey there, brilliant people. So today I'm going to take you through the 5 steps to conscious intuition. Intuition is an amazing skill, but obviously if it's just something that happens randomly because you have intuition, but it's only there on a subconscious level, you're not going to be able to make the most use of it. So I'm going to go through the 5 steps to conscious intuition to help you get to the point where you can make conscious use of your intuition. Right, so step 1. So step 1 is to actually, it's quite simple, it's just to acknowledge that you have intuition. Sometimes people think they don't have intuition, but actually it's something that we all have. It's part of our, if you like, inbuilt skill sets. We can all learn to think logically, which is our left brain stuff. We can all learn to operate with conscious intuition, which is our right brain stuff. So basically everyone has intuition. So you have intuition whether you think you do or not, but by acknowledging that you have intuition, it's kind of like giving yourself permission to start to make conscious use of it. So that's step number 1. Now, step number 2 is to notice what happens whenever you do have an intuition. Because we all have different intuitive languages. You might want to check out my video on the different intuitive languages. There's a few of them. There's a playlist. I'll link it at the end of the video. Anyway, so just notice when you do have an intuition, what sense it is that's talking to you. Did you get, sort of like a vision or a flash? Did you just sort of like hear something as if someone was talking to you? Or did you just know? Sometimes we even smell or taste something. Sounds strange, but we can do that. So our intuition can speak to us through any of our senses, but for most of us, we do tend to have a sense that is strongest for us. For me, it's mostly visual. And secondarily kinesthetic. So sometimes I will feel something, in the same way as, I can feel my hand touching my other hand. It is just like a physical sensation. Or sometimes, as I said, I see things. So getting to know what your own intuitive language is, it does help you pay more attention to when that is speaking to you. Because if you know that your intuition tends to speak more visually, well, if you get, a funny little vision in your head, you might be therefore more likely to stop and go, oh, hang on, is that my intuition or is that just my imagination? Whereas if you know that you're not so strong, say, auditorily, well, if you have a sort of little voice in your head, if that's not your strongest intuitive language, you may, realize that actually that's just your imagination. But anyway, whenever you do get those intuitions, notice what it is that's speaking to you. Which then brings me to step 3, which is also when you notice those intuitions. Because once you start to pay attention more to that intuitive language of yours, you will start to get a few more intuitions. And so when you get those intuitions, particularly when you get one of that intuition and you just act on it and it works out brilliantly, it doesn't matter if you don't do it at the time, but just stop and focus on that moment and go back to that moment and just notice how you are feeling on the inside. Most people will report that there was a stillness or a certainty or a calmness or just a knowingness because intuition is very much related to your integrity, which I talked about in another video. It means that when our intuition is strongest, every aspect of us, every part of us is aligned to the same focus. So because of that alignment, it is, in scientific terms, it's what they call a laminar flow. It's like everything's flowing in the same direction. So there isn't any internal conflict. There's no second guessing yourself. There's no internal turbulence. So because of that, you just feel that stillness. So just notice that state of internal alignment, that calmness, because that's an important state to realize, because then that brings us to step 4. Once you've noticed that state of internal alignment and how that's connected to some of your intuitions that you have got that have just happened, well, then once you realize that that is linked to when your intuition is speaking to you very strongly, you will start to then, when you do have another moment of that internal stillness and a knowingness or a vision or some kind of impulse that comes with it, you'll know to act on it, because you'll know that really is my intuition talking to me. With our imagination, we tend to get more chatter because it's something really that we want to be true, not necessarily something that just is true. So when it is our intuition, we do tend to get just that state of internal stillness and calmness. So that's the 4th step. When we notice those states of internal stillness, act on it, which then brings us to step 5. So now you're getting quite familiar with that state of internal stillness. You can actually start to practice it. You know what that state of internal stillness feels like, that internal alignment feels like, because you've had it a few times. So you just want to practice it. And so you want to actually practice putting yourself into that state of internal alignment, because that will enable you to then start to be able to learn to consciously activate your intuition. So, for example, if you have a question or if there's something that you want to create, you can focus on that, and you can, first of all, get yourself into that state of internal alignment, then focus on whatever it is you want your intuition to activate around, and lean into that state of internal stillness and that internal alignment, and then observe what comes to you from that state of alignment or stillness, because that will be your intuition talking to you. So there you are. There's the 5 steps to conscious intuition. So it's acknowledgement, notice which of your physical senses is talking to you, notice when also that state of internal stillness or alignment, pay attention to that state of internal stillness or alignment, and then practice it. And there's the 5 steps that you need to work yourself through if you want to develop conscious intuition. So go and do that, and until next time, remember that you're brilliant.